Hello everyone, I'm Paul. Today I'm going to show you here on a sawmill a few little tricks that I use, and that is to roll the cant or roll the log on the mill using a strap with two eyelets, one on each end, and a D-ring. And the other thing I want to show you as well, using two ratchet straps. I want to show you basically how I lift the cant off the mill and I go put it where I want to put it. So let's get started on that, and what we'll do is we'll start with using a strap. The strap I've got here is an 8-foot strap. It's a tree hugger or a tree saver, and it's got a working load of 12,000 pounds and a working limit 12,000 pounds, capacity of 35,000 pounds, so it's very strong. And I've got a D-ring here, or a shackle, and basically what I'm going to show you is a couple of things. My youngest son showed me how to do this. He does this on his mill all the time, and he showed me how to do it to make it a lot easier. The reason for doing this is if you get a cant or a log that's too heavy to use with a PV or a cant hook to rotate, it's a lot easier to use these items here with the tractor and just lift it up. Now you can use whether you have a grapple on the front end, a bucket on the front end, or you got your forks on the front end, it doesn't really matter as long as you got somewhere to strap to. So here I'll start to show you, and what I'm going to do during this video is I'm going to have a couple inserts where I'm going to show where my son's doing it, and a couple explanations on his behalf as well from what he had told me. So anyways, let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the strap, I'm going to put it underneath, I'm going to wrap it underneath the log. I'm just going to grab it from the other side, and I'm going to pull it through here. Now basically what I want, and I'm just going to move these other straps out of the way for right now. We don't need these till later. What I'm going to do is, you're going to want to know basically where the center of the log is. You don't have to have it exact, but as close as you can possibly get it. So you just take a tape and line your strap up with the center of the log. In this case here, what I have is a 10-foot log, and before I cut the top and before I cut the bottom, it was a 17-inch diameter log. It is still 17 going across, or going across this way, and it's 12 inches now going this way since I've cut it. So when you take the straps, the important thing here, and I'll have a couple clips as I mentioned with my son explaining a couple of things and doing the lift as well. On his mill, he's got an 18-foot log. It's quite a bit bigger than the one I'm using here. So this one, yes, I could roll with a cant hook. It's not that big, but the reason why I want to do this smaller one is just for the demo, because I want to lift it off. I want to do a couple cuts quick, and then I want to lift it off to show you that. So anyways, you're going to have the two eyes on the strap. What you're going to make sure is that the top eye goes down in through the bottom eye, going like this. Now if you were to do it the opposite way, where you have the bottom going through the top, this is where you're going to have a problem. And I'm going to insert a clip here at this point here, and my son will explain that to you.
But having two eyelets is definitely going to be beneficial for you. And then also get yourself a shackle. Okay, it's gonna be helpful for you. Just I'll show you that where this comes into play in a little bit. But the first thing what you're gonna want to do is, hopefully you can see both sides. Yeah, okay. So this is the biggest part. That's the most key, I would say. So as you have both eyelets, right? You got one eyelet and the second eyelet, okay? And then the way that it's important in the way that you rig it is because if you were to rig, for instance, the bottom one, right? If you were to bring that eyelet through the upper eyelet, and you bring it down, and you're like, okay, I'm going to try and spin this log now. Well, you're not actually putting any tension onto the choker, so you'll just end up spinning the choker around the log, which is obviously not at all what you want to do. So the key part is making sure that you take the upper eyelet and you actually pass it through the lower eyelet, okay? And then the difference here is that as you bring this down to the bottom of the log to actually roll it, actually I'll just do it higher so you can see it, is that when you actually go to lift, it's now actually putting the tension, causing kind of like a break, and it's causing that friction against now the log, and then so then that's where you get that tension that you're able to pull, and you're gonna be able to twist the log. So that's gonna be your biggest, the most key point to that part right there. So now that we got that all figured out, actually looking at this now, this log is a little too big for this strap, so I'm gonna actually use my other strap.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to reverse this. I'm just going to put the top strap into the bottom one, and what you want to do is have it so that whatever point that you're going to lock this up at, that's the point that the log is going to roll. For example, if I put it here, as you can see, now I've got some friction on it, it's tightening up. So what this is going to do is going to take this part of the log, and then when I lift it up with the tractor, it's going to rotate the log so that it does a 90-degree turn. If I take this and I tighten it up, and I'll show you this later, if I tighten it up underneath in the middle, what it will do is it will do 180 degrees. It'll take the bottom of the log and it'll put it on the top. You'll see that through the demonstration. So now I've got it all cinched up here. The next thing to do is attach it to the tractor. So I'm just going to get on the tractor. I'm going to pull it a little bit closer. Now that I got the tractor closer, this is where your D-ring comes in handy. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the strap and I'm going to use the eyelet here, the eye, and I'm going to use the D-ring, the shackle, and I'm going to clamp it. Now it doesn't matter whatever apparatus or whatever contraption that you have here on the front end, you can just wrap the strap around, and in this case here, going to wrap it around, and I'm going to tighten it in, and you want that basically in the center as much as you can as well. So I'm going to tighten that in, and again I'll insert a little clip here basically about tightening this here, your D-ring, and that you need to back it off. So my son will do a little clip here right now.
What you want to do with this, just put your shackle through your eyelet, and then you're just gonna feed the other part of your choker into your shackle. Put your shackle on. Something to remember is if you tighten your shackle down all the way, always crank it back about 1/8 of a turn. The reason why you do that is because once you put a little bit of tension on that, you just saw how even just me, tightening it had a little bit of, it's a little tough to get back. If you were to crank all the way down and then put pressure on that shackle, it is 9 times out of 10 most likely you're gonna lock that sucker on there hard, and you're gonna have to try and beat it off, to break it, basically try and break it loose. Where if you do that 1/8 inch or 1/8 of a turn back, that it's like a sweet spot where once you cut it loose, it's easy to turn back off again. So just remember that. Kind of go snug and then come back 1/8 of an inch. I mean 1/8 of a turn.
Right now. Okay guys, so now that we've got this all hooked up, it's sitting in the middle, a couple things to point out. You want to make sure here on the back, that you got your log stops in place, at least one on each end, so that when you rotate the log, that the log doesn't go all over the place, doesn't go past the end of the bunk of the on the track here. So now the next thing to do is to lift it up, and when you're lifting it up, it's going to rotate, and you want to lift it up slowly. You don't want to be really quick with it. You want to be careful to make sure that it's rotating nice and smooth. Also, what could happen is that sometimes when you get the log, sometimes it could be off center, or in some cases, you see how this angles here. What happens is the log, when it comes up and rotates, it could get caught on top on here. And what that does is it could swing one end of the log out either to the left or to the right. Now, I'll insert another clip here. My son will explain to you why you only use one strap, and it's got something to do with this.
I know when you asked about using two or just one, I like the one because it also gives you the ability to like kind of push down on one side and kind of use the center as a pivot point, opposed to if you had two. I think potentially you kind of get yourself in a spot where maybe you got to try and cut that one loose, pick one side a little bit, draw back, and then you're no longer in center, so you're kind of, you might potentially have to always be like rigging it twice, where using the single, as long as you're like pretty much close to center, you don't have to be dead nuts. You know, I think you should be fine.
Guys, you can see that I just need to move it a little bit closer. I could use the tractor to move it a little bit closer, or I can use a bar to do it. It doesn't matter either way. The main thing is try and keep it strapped up so it doesn't roll back on you, to keep a little tension on it. So I'm just going to roll it up here. Actually, I'm going to use my cant hook, it'll be a little easier. Just going to straighten it out a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the log clamp on it to keep it from rolling back when I release the tension up here. Alright guys, so basically I've rolled my log, I've got it clamped into place. All I have to do is take the strap off now. Now it's important that you're using a strap that won't stretch a whole lot on you, because if this strap stretches too much, it's going to give you a lot of difficulty. So make sure whatever you're using for a strap, that it's nice and strong for load capacity, but also doesn't have a lot of stretch in it. So that's basically it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to mill the top of it, and then I'm going to show you right after that how to roll it the 180 degrees versus the 90. Alright guys, I'm just going to throw this slab off here to the side, and then we're going to pull the mill back and we'll show you how to rotate it 180 degrees. So now I've got the 3 sides cut on it. I want to rotate it so that the bottom now becomes the top, so I can cut the top just like I just did this slab here. So I'm just going to rotate this around the log. I'm going to take my clamp off here. The clamp was just holding the log so it stays square to the log stops at the back. You've got to be careful it doesn't roll on you. That's like it rolls a little bit, but I've got to be careful of that. So, and once again, the top goes into the bottom. Instead of cinching it up down here, right around here, I did the first time to do a 90-degree turn. I want to get underneath it, and I want to go about halfway at least underneath there, so now that when I rotate it, that I'm going to get the top or the bottom to come to the top. One thing I have to do here yet is I want to make sure that I'm more in the middle than what I'm not. Just looking for my measuring tape. I lose my measuring tape all the time. I've got an extra one here. Oh, that one's gone too. Oh, there's down at the other end. I usually have one tape at each end of the mill, but for some reason I only see one of them. So you want to get this again in the center. It doesn't have to be dead even, but you know, the more center it is, the less likely the log will get out of control on you. So what I'm going to do now is just going to pull the tractor up, hook it up, and we'll see it rotate 180 degrees. Again, I'm just going to hook it up to the D-ring. Come on in closer here. This time I put the D-ring around here, just a little differently. I'm just going to pass it, and I'm going to tighten it up. And as my son mentioned, and this part I didn't know because I use the D-rings in the bush all the time, is to back it off about 1/8 of an inch. So anyways, or 1/8 of a turn. So anyways, it's all ready to go, so I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees now. All right, guys, you see how quick that was. Now, doing this on the video, it takes a little bit longer because I'm talking to you and I'm, you know, focusing on a couple things at a time. But literally, to turn the log like this, it's so nice and so quick and easy. As long as you try and keep everything in the center, it just makes life a lot easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhook this. I'm going to cut the top slab up. I'm going to go off camera for that. And once I have the slab off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use 2 straps and how to move it, or strap it up, and how to move it out of here. So stay tuned for that, guys. All right, guys, there's another tip that my son shared with me. I'll share that with you as well. Here it is, guys.
Something else I meant to mention earlier, I don't know why I didn't think about it, but whenever you're picking, you got to remember that you don't pick, like, your tractor does not pick in a one linear line of motion, right? It picks in a curved line of motion. So if you started way ahead of the log, then as you're trying to pick, you're actually trying to initially pull the log forward instead of actually more up. So where I have it now, I might actually even be a bit forward. I should probably back off a little bit. So maybe you'll probably see me back off the log a little bit, and then as I start to lift up, then I'll try and pull forward, and that's actually going to rock it more into place, opposed to being in one plane, because again, the tractor doesn't pick just straight up and down. It's going to pick, so it doesn't just go, you know, just straight up and down like this. It's going to actually pick more like this, right? So you're getting that arc that you're going to see, and it just comes into play. You'll feel it out. A lot of it is like, because you'll see when, you know, it starts to be, maybe it's pinching, or maybe you'll be able to see the strap is actually like tensioned really far forward, and then, but if you're also too far back, then you're actually pulling the log this way more than you are trying to get it to roll. So it's kind of a combination of being in the right position and you know, kind of driving and placing it correctly. So.
All right, guys, so basically what I've done is I've got the all the boards milled off. I've put some of the boards over there, and what I have left is an 8x8 beam that I need. So just letting the truck pass by here makes a lot of noise. So I have an 8x8 beam, and what I want to do is I want to get it out of here and stack it with the rest of them. Now what I have to do, it's too heavy by hand, so what I use is the tractor, and I use a 2-strap system. I use ratchet straps. It's very quick and very easy. So all I have to do is pull it out, go over top, bring it up here, pull a little bit more, and then I just let it in a bit, and then I just tighten it a bit, and then I go to the other side, do the same thing, just stretch it out. Much strap I'm going to need. Pass it underneath. Just clamp it on there. Just tighten the strap up a bit. Now obviously you can do this with a set of forks. You just come underneath with your forks and stuff, but I don't use forks, and this is why I'm showing you this way. If I have a bucket, you can do it with a bucket, or if you have a grapple, you can do it this way. So. And I like this way because it's a lot easier for me. Don't have to. This is a small little beam here. Sometimes I have them, you know, quite a bit bigger, a little harder to move around. So, anyways, I'm going to lift it up here with the tractor, and we'll put it on the pile with the rest of them. Let's get that done. And as you can see here, basically underneath I have the stickers, and that allows me to slip the straps out from underneath. So I just got to climb up here. So to release just quickly release the strap, and I can pull it out from underneath, and then I just pull them back in. That one's done. And the same thing on this side. I can just pull it from underneath. And then I just retract the strap into the housing of it, and that's all done. So you can see I just got to straighten the log out here now, or the beam out. So basically you can see how easy it is and how quick it can go with the grapple when you hook it up. I don't have the experience with the forks because I don't have any, as I mentioned. So anyways guys, I hope you really enjoyed this video. Hopefully it helped somebody out. If it has, give it a thumbs up. Also, if you have not subscribed to my channel, you can do so by hitting that subscribe button down below. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Gelling Outdoors.